I paid $50,000 for a family vacation, but my mother-in-law invited my wife's ex, so I canceled the payment and turned the trip into her worst nightmare. My name is Alex, and I've been married to Sophia, the woman I love, for 5 years. Our relationship has generally been good, but there's always been one persistent issue: her mother, Patricia. My mother-in-law is one of those people who believe they have the right to weigh in and make decisions about everyone else's lives. She never fully liked me, though she tolerated me because she knew her daughter loved me. "You're a good guy, Alex, but I don't know if you're enough for my Sophia," she once said, eyeing me up and down as if I were a discounted item she'd bought and later regretted. For a long time I couldn't figure out why she saw me that way, but eventually it clicked. The problem wasn't me, it was Julian. Julian was Sophia's college boyfriend, a tall guy with dark hair and an effortless smile, the classic jerk who charms everyone while secretly stabbing you in the back. They were together for 3 years, from when she was 19 to 22. He cheated on her with multiple girls, classmates, friends, anyone, and manipulated her into thinking she was the issue. When they broke up, Sophia cried for months, as her brother Pablo later told me that'd be why the time I met her, though she'd moved on. She told me Julian was a mistake from her past, and I believed her. Patricia, however, never let it go. To her, Julian was the dream son-in-law, the prince who slipped away. "So polite, so handsome, with a bright future," she'd say at every opportunity. During family dinners, she'd drop his name like it was a prize. "Remember when Julian took us to that fancy restaurant?" At Christmas, she'd pull out photos of them together, laughing on the beach or dancing at some party. Even at our wedding, as I stood beside Sophia in my new suit, Patricia sighed and said, "Julian always looked so good in family photos." I swallowed hard, squeezed Sophia's hand, and pretended not to hear. For 5 years, I put up with her remarks. I told myself it didn't matter. Sophia had chosen me, and Patricia would eventually tire of her fixation. I was wrong. Last year, after months of pulling double shifts at the construction company where I'm a supervisor, I saved $50,000 for a family vacation. I wanted to give Sophia a break. She's an elementary school teacher, and the past year had been rough. Challenging kids, demanding parents, late nights prepping lessons. I'd see her come home drained, with dark circles under her eyes and a forced smile. "We need something special," I said one night, and she nodded, resting her head on my shoulder. I spent weeks searching for the perfect spot and found a luxury resort in the Caribbean. White sand beaches, water so clear you could see fish from the shore, rooms with private balconies and huge beds, and a beachfront restaurant serving food that smelled like paradise. It was all-inclusive: flights, lodging, meals, drinks, excursions. I booked it with my card in my name because I wanted it to be my gift to her. I invited her family, her brother Pablo, her dad Miguel, one of Sophia's aunts, and though I hesitated, Patricia, thinking it might bring us closer. I planned every detail: a full week from August 10th to 17th with kayaking, boat rides, and themed nights. It cost $50,000, more than I'd ever saved, but it was worth it to see Sophia happy. When I told her, it was like I'd handed her the world. "Alex, this is incredible," she shouted, leaping into my arms with tears in her eyes. "We've never done anything like this, ever." I held her tight, feeling her warmth against my chest, and for a moment, everything was perfect. That I made the reservations, confirmed the flights, and had everything set. 3 days before the trip, Sophia mentioned that her mom had made a small change to the guest list. I assumed she'd invited a friend or another relative. I never imagined what she'd actually done. On the day of the flight, we got to the airport, and there was Julian, Sophia's ex, grinning at me like nothing was wrong. "Alex, great to see you," he said with an arrogant smirk. I stared at him, brow furrowed. What the hell was he doing here? I turned to Sophia, expecting her to be just as baffled, but her face told me everything. She was clueless too. "Mom, what's this about?" Sophia asked Patricia. My mother-in-law smiled like it was no big deal. "Oh, honey, Julian had some free days and I thought it'd be nice for him to join us. He's always been part of the family after all." My blood boiled. And who the hell authorized this? I demanded, struggling to keep my cool. Well, you know, the airline allows name changes on tickets, she said. I just made a few adjustments. That damn woman had given Sophia's aunt's ticket to Julian. Sophia was furious. I was furious. But we were already at the airport, bags packed, and canceling then and there would have meant losing a fortune. So I said nothing. I took a deep breath, boarded the plane, and decided that if my mother-in-law wanted this to be a nightmare, I'd make damn sure it was. For her. We sat in a row of 4. Me by the window, Sophia next to me, Julian beside her, and Patricia in the aisle. The plane barely took off before Julian started. Sophia, remember that flight to Cancun in our second year? We laughed so hard at that weird talking pilot, he said, chuckling like it was some grand tale. Sophia gave a faint smile. Yeah, that was ages ago, she replied, but didn't shut him down. Patricia leaned over. Oh, those were the days. You two always had the best stories. I tried focusing on the clouds outside, but Julian's every word drilled into me. He talked like I wasn't there, reminiscing about trips, parties, moments I'd never shared with Sophia. She answered briefly but didn't stop him. At one point she squeezed my hand and whispered, "Ignore him, please." I tried. I couldn't. We arrived at the resort at sunset. It was even more stunning than I'd pictured. Tall palms swaying in the breeze, turquoise sea reflecting the sun, an open lobby with flowers and staff handing out wet towels and pineapple cocktails. I inhaled the salty air and for a second my anger faded. Sophia and I went to our suite, a massive room with a huge bed, a jacuzzi bathroom, and a balcony with 2 hammocks overlooking the ocean. This is perfect, she said, hugging me tight. Thank you, Alex. All for you, I replied, kissing her forehead. I thought maybe I could handle Julian and Patricia for a week if I had moments like that. That night, we ate at an outdoor restaurant, tables in the sand, lights strung in the trees, waves crashing in the background. They served fresh fish with mango sauce, coconut rice, and a flan that melted in your mouth. I was sipping my first cold beer when Patricia pulled out her phone. Sophia, come, let's take a family photo, she said, standing up. She directed everyone like a movie director. Sophia, here with Pablo. Now with your dad. Oh, Julian, stand next to Sophia like old times. He complied, grinning, wrapping an arm around her. His hand rested on her waist and she didn't pull away. I tried to join, but Patricia stopped me. Alex, can you take the picture? It needs to be perfect. She handed me the phone and I stood there, air draining from my lungs, watching Julian cling to my wife as she smiled for the camera. After the photo, he stayed close. Try this, you'll love it, he said, offering her a bite of his flan from his fork. She took it, laughing. You were always good at picking desserts, she said, and he winked. Patricia clapped like it was a cute little scene. I ordered another beer and stared at the sea, counting to 10 to keep from losing it. Before bed, I told Sophia, I don't like how your mom keeps sidelining me. She sighed, slipping off her shoes. It's not a big deal, Alex. She's just excited Julian's here. Don't take it personally. Don't take it personally? I snapped, voice rising. I'm your husband, Sophia. This is our trip. I know, and I love you for it, she said, stepping closer to hug me. Just relax, okay? I don't want to fight. She kissed me softly and I went quiet, but her eyes didn't reassure me. The next day, I arranged a kayaking trip on a nearby river to keep us busy and dodge the drama. We woke early, ate rolls and orange juice at the resort dining room, then took a van to the starting point. The river was a dream, turquoise water, mangroves all around, white birds overhead, sun just warm enough. Sophia and I shared a kayak. She paddled up front in her straw hat, and I steered from behind. Faster, Alex, she yelled, laughing as we splashed water. For a bit, it was perfect. Then came Julian and Patricia in another kayak. Sophia, remember rowing on the university lake? He called out, his voice slicing through the air. We nearly sank because I sucked at it. She turned, smiling. Because you were awful, not me, she shot back, and they laughed like it was an inside joke. Pablo and Miguel were in another kayak chatting about sports, oblivious. But I heard every word. Each giggle from Sofia with Julian hit me like a punch. I tried focusing on the scenery, glistening water, green leaves in the breeze, but his voice wouldn't leave my head. That we reached a small beach at the river's end. Fine sand, scattered palms, a table of juices and fruit set up by the guides. I sat with Sofia in the shade, handing her pineapple juice. "You okay?" she asked, touching my arm. "Yeah," I lied, forcing a smile. "Just want you to enjoy it." Then Patricia pulled out her camera. "Sofia, Julian, come for a photo by the water. Pablo, you too." She posed them like it was a pro shoot. Julian stood next to Sofia, shoulders touching. I stepped forward, but she stopped me. "Alex, can you grab my hat?" I left it in the kayak. Her tone was casual, but it stung like rejection. I trudged through the hot sand for the hat, and by the time I got back, the photo was done. Julian's hand on her back, Sofia smiling like it was fine. Back at the resort, Julian stuck to her. In the van, he sat beside her, showing her stuff on his phone, pictures, videos, whatever, while she laughed and nodded. Patricia watched with a proud grin. I sat up front with the driver, staring out the window, feeling something shatter inside me. That night in the suite, I couldn't hold it in. "Why do you let your mom push me out of everything?" I asked as she brushed her hair at the mirror. "Alex, it's not a big deal," she said, not looking at me. "She's just being herself. I don't want to make it an issue." "An issue?" I said, stepping toward her. "I'm your husband, Sofia. I paid $50,000 for this trip, and I feel like a stranger in my own life." She set the brush down and turned. "I know, and I'm grateful. But I can't control her. Just relax, please." She hugged me, her hair smelling of coconut and salt. "I love you, Alex. This doesn't change us." I wanted to believe her. She kissed me and we held each other under the stars, but I was a mess inside, wishing the vacation would end to escape this hell. I never should have agreed to travel with that guy Julian. That night, the resort hosted a beach bonfire. We sat on logs around the flames, stars overhead, sea rumbling in the distance. Guitars came out and a staff member played soft tunes. Julian sat next to Sofia, their legs brushing. He grabbed a beer from the cooler and offered her a sip. "Like old times, huh?" he said, handing it over. She drank from where his lips had been, their hands touching as she passed it back. No pulling away. They laughed at something I didn't catch, and Patricia beamed like they were a perfect pair. That I stood and walked to the shore. Cold water lapped at my bare feet as I stared at the dark waves, feeling something slip away. When I returned, Sofia smiled at me like nothing was wrong, but her eyes had changed. The next morning we hit the resort pool. Warm water, floats, lounge chairs. I swam with Sofia, splashing like kids. She wrapped her arms around my neck in the water. "I love you, Alex," she said, and for a moment I wanted to forget it all. "I love you too," I said, kissing her. Then Julian showed up, diving in with a grin. "Sofia, come play like we used to." Before I could stop her, she swam to him. He hoisted her up and tossed her into the water. She shrieked with laughter. Patricia clapped from a lounge chair. They looked so cute together. Just like college. Miguel and Pablo were at the bar, clueless, but I saw it all from the pool's edge, water dripping down my face. Rage built up. I wanted to smash Julian, get even with my mother-in-law for orchestrating this, and I was lost about Sofia, torn between anger and sadness. But I didn't want a scene in a fancy hotel. So I climbed out, sat at the bar, and ordered a double rum. Ice clinked as I watched Sofia giggle with Julian, his hands lingering too long. They ended up hugging in the water, talking too close. The rum burned, but not like the ache in my chest. That night, I thought we'd finally be alone. Julian skipped dinner, claiming a stomachache. But after a quiet meal, Sofia said she wanted to walk the beach. "I'll come," I said, standing. "No, it's fine," she replied, avoiding my gaze. "I just need some time alone." Her voice shook. I knew she was lying. I waited, then followed her, creeping through palm shadows, heart pounding. Then I saw them, in a dark corner far from the resort lights, Sophia and Julian kissing. Not a fleeting peck, but deep, desperate. His hands gripped her waist, pulling her close. Hers were around his neck, fingers in his hair. They moved like I didn't exist. I stood there, shaking, legs weak. I'd never felt this before. I wanted to charge them, yell, beat Julian senseless. But I'm not that guy. I turned back to the suite, the ocean drowning out my head's chaos. When Sophia slipped in 2 hours later, I faked sleep. She lay beside me, breathing steady, and I felt sick. I didn't sleep, just stared at the ceiling, the kiss looping in my mind. Next morning, sunlight streamed through the balcony. Sophia slept, hair fanned on the pillow. I looked at her, love and hate warring inside me. I got up quietly, threw on a t-shirt and shorts and left. I had a planned AT breakfast, rolls, juice, coffee. I acted normal. Sophia smiled across the table. I smiled back, hiding the scream inside. That afternoon, the vacation ended, and so did my life with Sophia. Miguel and Pablo took an earlier flight for work, leaving me with Patricia, Sophia, and Julian. After we wrapped up, I went to reception. I need to adjust the payment, I told the manager, a short guy with a mustache. I paid half up front, but the remaining half should be charged to my wife and mother-in-law. He raised an eyebrow but nodded. We'll need to confirm with them. Can you wait while we call? Sure, I said, arms crossed, pulse racing but face calm. He dialed their rooms. Soon they came down the lobby stairs, Sophia in a light blue dress, hair loose, Patricia in a floral blouse, regal as ever. Both looked puzzled. What's going on, Alex? Sophia asked, frowning. Patricia stood behind, arms folded. Why'd they call us? The manager cut in. Ladies, the gentleman says the remaining $25,000 for the trip should be charged to you. We need your authorization and card details. What? Patricia's voice spiked. This is absurd. Sophia stepped toward me, reaching for my arm. Alex, what's happening? Explain. I pulled back before she touched me, fury and hurt surging. Don't touch me, I said, locking eyes with her. I saw you last night, Sophia. On the beach, kissing Julian. She went pale, frozen. Alex, no, wait, let me explain. Her voice quaked and she stumbled back. Patricia flushed, mouth opening to yell, but I cut her off. Nothing to explain, I said louder. I saw it, your hands on his neck, his on your waist. It's over, Sophia. Alex, please, she pleaded, tears streaming. It was a mistake, it meant nothing, I swear. I'm done listening, I said, stepping away. I'm done with you. The manager coughed awkwardly. Ladies, we need to settle the payment. Your cards. Patricia erupted. This is outrageous. I'm not paying. Alex, you planned this, it's on you. I paid half as a gift for my wife, I said, glaring at her. But I don't have a wife anymore. It's your turn. Sophia fumbled with her wallet, hands shaking. I don't have that kind of money, Alex. I'm a teacher, you know my salary. Her voice cracked as she looked to the manager for help. Patricia pulled out her card, grumbling, and handed it over. The machine beeped, declined. Again, nothing. What the hell? She muttered, sweating, but as a kept woman, she clearly had no funds. Sophia's card failed too. Insufficient funds, the manager said, handing it back. They stared at each other, ashen, as lobby guests started glancing over. Then Julian swaggered in, shirt unbuttoned, smirking. What's the problem? I can cover it. Some gentleman, I said, arms crossed, smirking inside at his strut. He flashed a black card, all bravado. Charge the $25,000 here. No issue. The machine hummed, then beeped. Declined, the manager said. Julian stiffened. What? Impossible, try again. Same result. His cockiness melted into embarrassment, and I let out a dry laugh despite my anger. Some savior, I sneered. Patricia glared at him. You said you were a big shot manager, Julian? I am. It's a bank glitch, he stammered, red-faced. The manager sighed. We need payment, or we'll hold your belongings until it's resolved. Sophia covered her face, sobbing. Patricia argued. Julian fiddled with his phone, useless. I watched their mess unfold, heartbroken but smug. They were stuck. But I wasn't finished. On my phone, I canceled their flights, keeping mine. They didn't notice, lost in their panic. They scraped together partial payments. Sophia, Julian, Patricia's pitiful cents, but it wasn't enough. They left belongings as collateral, stranded in a foreign place with no way home. I returned to the suite, packed in 10 minutes, clothes, toothbrush, passport. I left a note. I saw you with Julian. It's over. Don't find me. I grabbed my bag, called a taxi, and headed to the airport that I boarded alone. The empty seat beside me felt like a cold embrace. As we took off, the Caribbean shrank below, and I felt a vast emptiness and relief. At home, I turned on my phone. Sophia left 20 voicemails, begging, crying, apologizing. Patricia called me a monster, vowing revenge. Julian stayed silent. I texted Sophia. I saw you with him. You earned this. I blocked her and tossed the phone. A week later, I moved to a small apartment. 1 bed, a park view window. I sold everything linking me to her and started fresh. I worked hard, filled my days to avoid thinking. The first months were brutal, but silence healed me. I'll keep you posted if anything else happens.